And we're live!
Nice. Welcome back, everyone. This is episode, what, 6 now?
I've lost count. I
It's
live
been
in Texas. I
so
can't
many
count that high.
that we can't count on one hand.
That's
how many
exactly
this
right.
has been.
That is exactly
Yeah.
right.
It's definitely not the whiskey talk.
Goodness.
I'm Batsam. This is LegendOfXcalion. Welcome back to the podcast, everybody.
We're at it again, man. This is yeah,
it's been going good. So, before we got started with all this, we were discussing a couple of things, and then I had made a mention about how I can't believe that DJ Khaled is that famous for just saying his name, and then the phrase "another one." It's so much so that there is the one clip of him that he went to an esports game for Overwatch, and he put the microphone. I was like, "Everybody else sing," and then he just like did this, and no one in the audience sang. Like, I've never seen this man sing. That's it. Like, I don't understand it, and I don't care.
I don't
Sing or get off the stage.
I don't particularly care for that genre of music. I guess I don't know. Maybe that's
I don't even know
not
what kind
fair.
of music he does.
Maybe that's
Does
not
he just
fair.
does he just do music on like a whatever? I don't care. Anyways, so last week we talked about potentially doing a raid right after the podcast, and while a raid did happen, Legend decided to go have steaks with his wife,
Well,
which is totally fine.
There was another reason. There was only one spot available. I was informed. I don't know if that lived up or not. But that's what I was told. I was like, well, they'll only need one. So I was like, oh, well, wife wants to go eat steak, so I guess Sam can have that spot.
So funny enough, I got the raid pulse rifle, the exotic.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Nice.
I got the exotic, and then we did another raid earlier this week. I think on like Wednesday, and I got 2 red bar submissions. So now actually I can craft my submission.
Nice.
It's nasty.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
I've been playing with a crafted syncopation, the pulse rifle, because first off, just crafting the thing initially, you can get moving target and rangefinder on it. So PvP, of course, and that for a long time was my favorite archetype pulse rifle before my blast furnace came along, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah, using that it's cool. It's cool, but submission, you dig it?
Oh, I love it. I love it so much. It's such a good PvE weapon. Like, so even in higher end content, I was running. I was doing some of the more advanced like story missions. I think it was like the 1580, 1550. I did it with my dad the other night. I was using that as my primary to stun targets with overload. And then it has overload. So it has overload for champions, and then it has overflow as a perk. So overflow as a perk is an excellent endgame option.
Oh yeah.
Hot take here, because you're always picking up heavy ammo in the end game stuff, like for Grandmasters, hard mode raids, just all of that stuff.
Right.
This then gets an 80 round magazine. The raid trait is for every shot dealt to whatever, for every shot hit, and then you reload the magazine, you heal. Another source of passive healing is fantastic. On top of Devour, on top of the Rifts, on top of literally everything else we have this season. One extra thing for that, perfect. All the other raid weapons are pretty sweet, and I haven't had a chance to play around with the pulse rifle or the kinetic fusion rifle yet. I've gotten a lot of the other ones.
Yeah.
This one really takes advantage of that perk because it has the biggest magazine capacity out of all the raid weapons.
Right.
I will say this: people have been saying like, "Oh, the raid pulse needs a buff." I get it.
Oh, the exotic one?
Yeah, the exotic one. People like it needs a buff. It's too gimmicky. Yes, it is gimmicky, but you know what? It's gimmicky for warlocks. My warlock mains out there, here's what you do: run Devour.
Just
That's
Devour.
it.
That's it. Always healing. Always getting the weapon buff. Passing.
Well, here's the thing: the weapon reloads every time you proc
Devour.
Volatile, Go Invisible, or Devour. The new Warlock boots literally give you Devour on every class. You can always have Devour. And what this weapon does, it reloads from reserves. I went an entire strike without reloading this pulse rifle. It's so good. I don't know how good it's going to be for like hard mode raids or for run-in grandmasters, but for just simple trash mobs, like with the buff that first Pulse Rifle's got that buff.
Yeah.
All exotics got a buff.
Right.
Clearing out just rank and file enemies, I was blowing through them. It's a void weapon, which works great with Nezarexin, which was my favorite Exotic. Warlock exotics. Right now, I'm going with the Controverse holds. Being able to get my grenade back like that.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I don't have to run any discipline, and I can already get my grenade back in less than 10 seconds. It's so good. You just have to have like map awareness.
Right.
This season's been great for Void. Void is probably my favorite subclass. It's up there with Solar. I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with Arc in the future, but you know, we'll see what happens. But yeah, no. So that's my take on the Raid Pulse, the exotic one. It is great. It is gimmicky, yes, and you do have to get a little bit of synergy going. And I think that's what's going to hurt it in the long run. It's not like a grab and go weapon like so many other exotics are.
Yeah.
There are definitely better options for that in the future, because the main gimmick of the weapon is it pulls the debuffs off of things, and then you press and hold for a long reload, and then it puts those debuffs on everything else. Currently in this season, Volatile is the favorite to win. Everyone is using Volatile, so right now if you have the exotic, you're seeing a lot of Volatile come onto those enemies, and you're siphoning it off and putting it on your gun. Then if you're running Devour or you're running something else, Weakness or Suppression, it's blanketing the field. Suppression, not so much, ever since the glaive got taken away, then brought back and kind of nerfed. So it requires a lot of setup, and then it spreads it across the battlefield. It's nice, but it does require a ton of setup. The best part about it is, it's like a diet, it's a diet version of Bad Juju.
Yeah.
So and that's my 2 cents on it.
Could
it use a buff?
That's interesting. It's... First off, I wasn't like, now that we have it and I've seen it on screen. I've seen people like ADS with it. I'm not pleased with it aesthetically. It looks,
oh yeah, no,
it's hideous. But you know, that's not to say a lot of things.
It looks like the Chrome Vex Mythic class.
Yeah, and I don't mind that, you know, but I don't know. It just looks kind of funny. And again, if I was a Warlock main, maybe I would be more excited. You know.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about you're mentioning end game content and like a strong emphasis on your Controverse holds right now, and rightfully so. Like whenever I run Warlock, whenever I'm doing, I should say before this season, before the Witch Queen, whenever I was running like harder content, like Master Lost Sectors or something like that, I preferred to do them on my Warlock just because Axion bolts have always been strong. Controverse holds have always been, you know, something really great to pair with that. And for doing end game content, that was, you know, Master Lost Sector, stuff like that. That was great. Oh, yeah. Super good. But now I am all about the Stasis Hunter, rocking the Renewal Grasps, just like your Controverse holds. Like the upkeep for my grenades is astounding. And you can basically be invulnerable with those with if you're standing inside of that globe. So yeah. I'm super stoked for GMs. Of course, Hunter main, Warlock main. We need to get on sometime and test just how invulnerable we are inside of both the globe and a well or a rift. And see just like are we talking about Well of Radiance type stuff? Like, because if that's the case, I did. Yeah. Go ahead. No, you're good.
I was gonna say for optimization's sake, like if I don't have to run well in endgame content, and you're running a damaging super right off the bat as stasis with so much ad control, that frees me up to switch it up to Nova Bomb,
right? Or
Tickle Fingers with Battle Harmony. Just like there's so many other options that open up for ad clear, for damage output, for just overall just being able to make those runs more optimized, make them run faster without having to. And I love Well. They kind of nerfed it a bit when they made it so that way the enemies can destroy it. It's always been, the sword's always been destructible, but the enemies have never targeted it before, kind of like how it now is. Bosses will just run straight for Wells and take out the sword. It's like, oh, cool. And the only way to buff the durability of the sword is to run high resilience. most Warlock mains aren't running high resilience. You're running high recovery, and then you can get away to then reheal.
Right.
There's no need to run that high resilience unless you're in Crucible. So now I'm having to figure out how to do that differently, especially for the end game stuff. So if that is a viable option where we can just sit in the snow globe, then by all means, I don't have to change up my build that much.
Right.
Which, kudos to Bungie again for shaking up that meta.
Yeah.
Getting us out of our wells, finding a more unique way of landing stuff. Because we all have our favorite exotics we turn to. We all have our favorite weapons we turn to. DPS phase for a long time before Anarchy got nerfed was double slug shotgun Anarchy.
Yeah.
That was just the meta. Take away half the ammo capacity of Anarchy and the reserves, and you're looking at not so good ammo economy anymore. It doesn't do that great of damage. Rocket launcher meta is in, then Lunar Fusion Rifle is in. It just, I like how they shake it up, and it frustrates players at the beginning of the seasons. Like, oh, I really miss this. I really miss grenade launcher meta when they had the buff. Like, oh, you tag it once and it was like weakened. Anarchy was so nice, just lick and stick on bosses, and then everyone, oh my gosh, that was such a fun meta. And then I'm a huge fan of sniper rifles with barrier. Making Izanagi's the the favorite to win because you can just one shot those idiots out of their shields. It's so nice. I like the way they're shaking stuff up. I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off.
You're good.
I like the way they're shaking up the meta, and one of my favorite things they've done with shaking up meta is these red weapons. You wouldn't use half of these weapons. Like, okay, so as a PvP main, what do you look for in a weapon before the season starts? Just walk me through that experience.
Of course, it depends on the type of weapon we're talking about. I think it's pretty fair to say that my favorite two types of primaries are probably pulses and sidearms. And if I'm looking for a pulse, I'm looking for right off the rip arrowhead break. I'm looking for high caliber rounds. And then for pulse rifles, they're really, really good. Like SMGs, they're really, really good to have like a damage enhancing perk like kill clip or something. Right. Because you're talking about taking a kill down from a 3 burst to, a 2 burst, very easily, or like Desperado. So I like, though at the same time, I also really, really like consistency. I can go either or. Right now I'm running the syncopath I'm talking about, syncopation. And I just crafted it. You get it to level 7 and you unlock everything from, you get your arrowhead break, you get your high cal rounds, you get your it's got moving target right off the rip, and it's got rangefinder. At level 7 you get the enhanced rangefinder, and then at level 8 you get the enhanced moving target. So no like damage increasing perks on it, but it's a 390 adaptive frame. So basically all I'm trying to do is make it to where it can compete at all ranges. It can compete. It can compete in within scout rifle range. It can compete within hand cannon range. With the high caliber rounds, I'm pretty consistently knocking snipers off if they're trying to snipe me. And then the same story whenever I'm talking about sidearms. Okay, at that point in time, I'm not really looking for arrowhead because I don't need something to control the recoil as much as I need. More times than not stability, because with a sidearm you're playing within range, a very close range, like shotgun, SMG range, and you want stability in that area. Of course, putting range perks on it, that's great and all, but it's gonna cap pretty quick. So the other thing that up until recently, up until the full auto mod retrofit, I was always looking for full auto. Yeah, for real.
Yeah, love that mod. Yeah.
And I my favorite sidearm in the game is still it's got almost 2,500 kills on it on PvP. In PvP is my there
you go,
my lonesome. And it's high cal rounds, full auto opening shot. Thing is disgusting. People don't understand it whenever it hits them. So good.
It's crazy. I've watched you nuke with it.
Yeah.
So I guess what I was going for is, the way Bungie shakes up the meta is this. For PvE, they shake up the meta by giving you the artifact. and the artifact dictates what you can use in endgame content, vis-a-vis the endgame raids, because there are champions, and there are damaging perks in there for overall stuff. Your endgame nightfalls, because again, you're running out with the different champions, different archetype shields. They can dictate the meta through that. PvP, on the other hand, is always dictated by the players. What's the best damaging perks? All these different things. That being said, with the idea of crafting coming out, they've only really released, 3 sets, I would call them, of weapons. There's the Witch Queen set, there's the Raid set, and then there's the Season set. So we have 3 sets right now of just weapons that are in the loot pool that you can craft.
Loosely, yeah.
Yeah. So that being said, what did you do? The very first thing you could do when you, after being able to see the weapons, what did you do? You looked at the perks, right? Decided ahead of time, I want this weapon with this combination of perks, right? So the way Bungie has then been able to shake up said meta beyond that, which I think is genius, putting red bars on weapons that don't get to be crafted. Random weapons now have a red ring around them for you to use. And the only way that you can do it is to complete activities with them or get kills with them. They're banking on the fact that you're going to use the weapon, not just put it in your inventory, run a bunch of strikes, and it's done. They're getting you to get used to the idea of, here's the other weapons we've made. Maybe you'll like these. Maybe they'll somehow find their way into metas. Without just straight up nerfing what's currently meta, they can then slip in these little things here and there. It's like, oh, I didn't know that I liked 180 hand cannons. Okay, yeah, that's pretty cool. I'll be real with you. The weapons I use raid weapons, I use nightfall weapons, and I use exotics. That's it. Because I can put better mods on them. Now, all about crafting. Because crafting, you can get better stats.
Yeah.
Still going to go after those adapt weapons for the better mods, but that's going to be closely rivaled by the fact that I don't think you can craft these adapt weapons. The only benefit from an adapt weapon is going to be is just that one adapt mod and the mastery that gives you a little bit more points and everything else. Otherwise, depending on how good these adapt weapons come out to be, they better be really good, because if not, you can just enhance perks on normal weapons and you can rival those.
Yeah.
So now we have a kind of this balancing point to get to, but beyond all that, this is a fun way of getting people to use guns they wouldn't normally use. I am not a fan of aggressive type shotguns in PvE. My favorite kind of shotgun for PvE is rapid fire frame.
Yeah.
I love it. And I'll only ever use third level. That's my shotgun. But I've been using other weapons and I've been starting to enjoy, like, hey, I kind of like these little bit more moderately firing, auto rifles more than my fast-paced ones or my super slow ones, like kind of somewhere in the middle. And then I found the new scout rifle. What's it called? It's got
the stasis.
The dropping, the stasis one, yeah. The Hake one. It fires super slow. I love it though, because I have mine with explosive rounds.
Oh yeah.
And Vorpal, and it's so good. Well, not Vorpal. It's got something else on it, but it's ridiculous. I would never use this gun normally. I don't really like scout rifles all that much that are very slow firing. This is what I had available to me, and I needed to upgrade it anyway. So doing that, they've been able to expand that, that pool of potentially changing up the meta a passive way, which I kind of like, because they can see the analytics of what guns are being used and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But that's my 2 cents on that. I just think it's a cool idea.
I definitely, of course, for sure, it doesn't appear that the adept raid weapons or anything like that you would assume that it would be seeable at the crafting table, the Enclave.
Right.
If they were available, kind of like before the raid was available, you could see the raid weapons there. So you would be led to believe that. So I think that there's a possibility that they would consider that adept weapons plus enhanced perks too much, maybe. Or
there's that second side of the Forge.
There is a whole nother side of the Forge that we haven't had access to yet.
And that might just be holding all the adapt stuff.
It could be. I've seen a lot of theories about that. I've seen theories about like that's where they're going to eventually do like armor crafting and stuff.
I would like to see that
potentially. But then there's the side. I mean, heck, the left side of it. All we really do with that is like mission stuff, you know.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that might be the side that gets to do
potentially.
But at the same time, I can also see this be the more approachable way of maybe a novice player or somebody who doesn't have a fire team to go run those endgame raids, who can't run those endgame nightfalls. This be a way for them to catch up with a crafted weapon with enhanced perks.
Yeah.
Not adapt mods, not adapt everything else, but this is their way of catching up. If that's the case, that's cool and all, but then you're going to have the outcry from the players who can do that content, who spend all that time doing it. Like, well, then why am I spending all this time to do this?
Time, yeah.
Yeah. So if they decide to do that and they decide to make adapt weapons about as powerful as a fully masterworked, built from the scratch, enhanced perks, I want to see more unique perk rolls on the adapts. And maybe once you have that adapt weapon, you can come back to the forge and be like, hey, so we can't actually build this weapon, but I can tell you this, we can enhance the traits.
So I have an idea. Go ahead.
I'll just say, maybe getting to select your own perks. Like, it's like, oh, hey, I don't like this one perk. Okay, you can swap it out for another one. That way you don't have to farm as hard and still make it worth your while to go get those weapons, you know? I don't know. I'm excited to see, but what was your point?
I was just going to say, what if they decide to do something like that to take it back to D1, where the adept weapons we had were exotic?
Yeah.
Where you could only have one of them equipped? I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
But if that were the case, they would have to make it worth it, right?
Yeah, they'd have to be really worth it.
If it was worth it, then okay. But we just have to see, and we have to play around with it. I think that they're, and we'll get into the TWAB here pretty quick, but they're coming into a point where they're gonna have to start talking about weapon crafting further. Not like the materials like they did recently, but they're gonna have to start talking to us more about it pretty quick.
Yeah,
like people are gonna start getting burnt out with the stuff that they have. Like again, that Hawkeye scout rifle you're talking about, the Persis D. By the way, I would love a god roll. I can't craft one. It's not craftable.
Right. Right.
But for whatever reason, the Roggenheld shotgun is, the Palmyra D rocket launcher is. You know, it's just, it was really weird, kind of the way they picked some of the things that you can craft, because
I feel like. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, because again, you have your Witch Queen stuff, your seasonal stuff, and your raid stuff. But then why? I mean, I guess you have to sprinkle in some other stuff here, you know.
But there's no other rocket launcher.
What do you mean?
There's no other craftable rocket launcher right now.
I know.
But that's why they probably did it that way. Because
you
can't have
herring or whatever it is.
Isn't that a grenade launcher? No, that's right. So they have two. So there's two in every category then.
There's not. There's only one scout rifle. It's the Witch Queen scout rifle.
Yeah. So they could have done some more stuff with it. And here's what I'd like to see. I would like to see kind of what they've done now, but a little bit more. So like, I would like to see. So for next season when it comes out, obviously the next season is going to have that seasonal set of weapons. And then what? I would like to see legacy weapons from a previous season. Bring that back into the loot pool. Maybe not even into the loot pool, maybe just bring the pieces in. So you're not polluting the loot pool with another round of weapons. Just throw it into like, oh hey, red bar weapon, cool, you finished it up, you have the materials now, you can now craft this weapon from scratch.
Right.
Put it in the loot pool, sure, that's how you're getting the blueprints anyway. Okay, fine. Or make an activity. Bring back the forges for a season. Complete so many forges in a week, or you do because they rotate it every day.
Yeah.
Complete it, a quest, and then you get that frame. Ringing nail or blast furnace. It's like, hey, pick this quest from Ada, Great, do this thing out. All right, perfect. Cash it in. You now have the frame for it. You're not putting that gun in the loot pool per se. You're blocking it behind an activity. Granted, if you wanted to do it, you could put it behind a paywall. I think that would kind of alienate some people, but also I think give them a taste of like, ooh, if you don't pay for it, it's $10. $10. There's a lot of weapons and stuff that are locked behind that paywall anyway.
Yeah.
If you do it that way, you can give them a single frame, like, because they always like, oh, you know, do the first mission, kind of get your feet wet, get a piece of the armor, get a piece of the weapon. Cool. This season, I don't think you can run it once and then you have a chance of getting that stuff, and if you want more of it, you have to do the season. The weapons are only in that loot pool, in that activity, and you have to use an engram, and then you have to use one of the vial things to craft, well, pull it out of an inventory.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that all that aside, you can do that. You can have it set up where it's like, oh, all this legacy stuff, cool. The sundial, we brought it back for whatever reason, and it's just like an added thing. I don't know, but that would be a fun way of implementing new legacy weapons. Well, I'd say new legacy weapons back into the loot pool.
Right.
Per se, you're not actually seeing them drop anywhere. You're only forging them, which means it keeps the loot pool clean to a certain degree. I don't know. There's a lot that they could do with this, and I'm hoping for the moon. I'm really hoping that they bring back a lot of the fan favorite weapons. There's a lot of guns that got sunsetted that I feel like people are just chomping at the bit to come back. Black armor weapons, bring them back, please. I want to see those again. Even the what was it? The season of the sundial.
Season of the
Dawn.
Dawn.
Yeah. Bring those weapons back. Those were some phenomenal weapons. And I can understand, like, yeah, again, polluting a loot pool too much, but there are ways to get around that.
Well, they've done a good job of getting around that. You know, now with having the origin traits and stuff, they've really done a good job of that. These weapons all feel very unique now. Specifically, going back to my PvP roots, for a long time, the best hand cannon in the game has been Palindrome. You know, Adept Palindrome, Quick Draw, Rangefinder. Like, it's really hard to beat. But now this Cantata came out, right? And it can also roll Rangefinder. And while it doesn't have the Adept perks, not the Adept perks, but it doesn't have like the Adept mods or the Adept stats after you masterwork it, what it does have is the Suro Synergy, which, you know, reload the magazine, and then what is it for like a few seconds, like the gun has like better handling, like it's
helps you trade a little better.
You
get that first kill, you hide behind the corner, reload. Coming up.
You don't even have to get a kill with it. You just have to reload the magazine to activate it.
Oh,
yeah, I know exactly.
Yeah. Before you run on the firefight, just
exactly.
Right, then you're good.
It's really
you've leveled the playing field in one move.
Exactly. They've made a gun that feels really good. Now of course, they can build on this, you know, and that's why your black armor weapons aren't here right now, is because they're probably figuring out what is an origin trait for a black armor.
It's gotta be perfect.
Right.
Black armor weapons give invincibility, or just you know, more damn. I don't know.
I would love to see a few of the Leviathan weapons come back that I was a huge fan of.
Yeah. They have so much room to do stuff with. Honestly. Honestly, I as much as it pains me to say this, I don't think we're getting black armor weapons back until they bring back Scourge of the Past as a rotating playlist.
Potentially, because, and the same goes for the Leviathan weapons, you know.
Yeah.
But
I think Leviathan will come back as a story point.
Oh, it's gonna have to at some point. We know that Callus is, you know, jacking around somewhere right now.
And spoilers for some of the stuff in the raid, and some of the lore. It talks about how Rehulk's the worm in there like one shot the Leviathan and just devoured it, and the Leviathan was meant to devour planets, and this worm one shot it. It's like, oh, cool. That's terrifying.
What did it do it with the power of the thing?
I think so.
The upended.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've talked a lot about that, and we can get back into it.
Yes.
You wanted to originally. We've been going for 30
Yeah.
minutes. You wanted to open with the TWAB stuff. TWAB is light this week. Let me switch over to the TWAB here.
Let me pull up our cast because read comments if there's anything.
There wasn't any yet. Whenever I saw, again, they go over a lot of the games to give stuff in opening, and yeah, so. If you care about that stuff, you can check it out. Long story short, they met all of their goals in rapid succession, just like the community does. This is a great community, proving, as always, that gamers are good people too.
I didn't know that was called into question.
Yeah. Those darn gamers and their gaming.
Well, I know. I mean, as soon as anyone boots up GTA 5 or any gun with the game, we just feel the need to go out and use those skills that we've learned from that video game immediately on the public. But
yeah,
I just assumed that that so meant you were a good person.
So starting off, they kind of go over some of their the clarification of account security policies. They go over just some things that were addressed last year that they are, I guess you could say, taking more action against now. So I'll open here. Last year, we updated our Destiny 2 security policy and how we will be taking action against account recoveries and account boosting services. Now, we are diving a little deeper into that, but first, a small recap on what those services are and why these are against our guidelines. I'm just going to say, I don't think anybody questions what boosting or recoveries are. Everybody knows what those are. Recoveries are people log into your account, which is, recovering your account and plays on your account. Boosting is same thing. Someone logs in and goes and does something, an activity for you. Now,
right.
The thing is I don't, so far as boosting in general goes, I don't really have a problem. It's the way I live. It's the way I was raised. Your money, you want to spend it on something, fine. Your money, that's fine. I personally get gratification from doing the activity and getting the weapon, or doing activity and getting whatever, or, whatever. But where it is a problem is PvP. Whenever you're doing an activity where you're playing against other people, of course, that can be a problem. Sam has played Trials with me or played high-end competitive with me or something like that, where we're playing, stacks, and you can always tell, like, you look, it's a stack of 3 people, all from different clans. They're all running the exact same guns. These are super sweats. That's what you call them. You call them super sweats, because they're logging on for one purpose, which is to beat you, right? And they're getting paid to do it. So that's a problem. I know for a fact there's a pretty general consensus among the community of how do you stop account recoveries in an age where we have now VPNs and stuff like that. I had some suggestions back whenever this was initially brought up, basically being that, before, if I hate to say it for you, but if you're logging into your account, maybe you don't get to play high-end activities for a day or so, 24 hours, 24-hour lockout as soon as you log in. That sucks, yes, but I would still prefer for the game to be more accessible to people that aren't maybe as good at PvP. Then I'm sorry, but for you to be butthurt that, you're locked out for a day. And it sucks. I get it. I do, but I have not really seen any kind of error code that would kick you out.
There really isn't one.
Yeah.
Which is why they've been enabled BattleEye.
Yeah.
They went ahead and they fixed trial. So this way it was a twofold program. Not only did they put these rules in place, no account recoveries, no boosting, your account's going to get banned over that kind of stuff. They did that. They put BattleEye in, and that was all one thing together, right? Then the following season, they revamped trials. There was no way that those two things weren't connected. Put a nice security system in place, put some nice rules in place. Great. Now let's update the loot pool. Let's make it easier to do it. Those two things went hand in hand. We saw the best boom of trials that's ever been. Hand in hand, this worked.
Yeah. Yeah, it did.
There are still people that are. Go ahead.
Now, I was just gonna say the numbers have dropped off now, and of course, that's just because it seems like recoveries are picking back up, becoming more of an issue again, and I think the problem was whenever it first got brought up, people were scared to do it.
Oh yeah.
I'm not gonna name drop anybody, but I personally know
Get bit. I don't like the guy.
Sorry, Lucky. No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Don't be sorry.
I'm not sorry. You're sorry. Anyways, I personally know a person or two that would take advantage of these things to get particular. Whenever it was, I think, like for example, the hand cannon, the Igneous Hammer. Whenever it was coming up on Adept Week for Igneous Hammer, it's like, sorry guys, I'm not playing this week. I'm not playing this week. Sorry, I'm not playing this week. And then you see them 2 days later, and they have the Adept Igneous Hammer. Like,
oh, okay, yeah, cool.
So
you know who you are.
You know who you are, and I love you. Ish. And now, it's starting to. I think people just kind of got immune to it, and they were like, they're not really doing anything about recoveries. Not really.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, they said your account will get banned, and then they put Trials behind a paywall. Trials is now only available if you purchase the newest DLC moving forward. So for the next year or so, until the next expansion comes out, as long as you personally own Witch Queen, you have, I believe it's this way, you have access to Trials. Or it could be every season. I'm not 100% on that.
No, it's the expansion.
The major expansions, yeah. So you have to have owned, so for instance, you have to own Witch Queen right now to be playing in Trials right now. And the scary part came from, if you got a ban, it was an account ban, which means you are now paying for an expansion a second time to get your account back.
Yeah.
Or not even your account back, just to get back in the game. That means you've lost everything thus far. There are people that just do this for fun because Destiny 2 is a free game on all platforms, except for Switch, because the Switch doesn't have that stuff yet. But that's what it is. Some people just go out, they're just spoilers. They just want to spoil someone else's good time. I mean, that's what gets them, their joy, whatever. But it's kind of annoying. And they've done, to Bungie's credit, they've been trying really hard to make there's a flawless pool now. There's different things in place where it's like for someone who like myself who's not a competitive PvP player, there are certain guns that I want to get. I want to get this new scout rifle. I like Void stuff. I want to get this scout rifle because it's a nice scout rifle. It's got some good perks to it. It's a nice frame. I would like to see this in my hands. I don't want to go up against Super Sweats. I don't have time for that anymore.
Yeah.
I used to be able to dedicate a whole weekend to running for Trials. Can't do that. Got a 4-month-old now. It can't happen.
And you see it more because and Bungie has implemented, right? Like they implemented the flawless pool, right? So Sundays, whenever it's Sunday, you're getting on. Everybody that is playing Trials at that point in time, if they have not been flawless yet, they're only competing against other people who have not been flawless yet. And this is where
recoveries are.
Yes, this is where you see the huge uptick in all of these random accounts with you see 3 stacks of people, like I said before, and it could be coincidence, but I don't think that that's most of the time the case. You see 3 different clans, all people using the exact same super meta weapons. And it makes it really hard, like for me, for example, to take a couple of my friends that maybe aren't as good at PvP. Anyone,
I mean, you're being nice, Legend. It's me,
Samuel. Now
it's me. It's blood, and I can name off the others.
It makes it hard, and to me that is that really sucks because did you ever have Recluse?
No,
you never had
got Recluse. No, wait, no. I got Recluse at the very end,
right before it got sunset.
Yeah, I think I had it like 2 weeks before it got sunset.
So
then I also had the scout rifle as well.
Oh, Randy's?
Yeah, I got Randy's just before it got sunset as well.
So
I bought the other 2, the hand cannons.
Yeah. So Recluse and Mountaintop, right? Recluse and Mountaintop were both super awesome weapons for PvP and even more so for PvE. Recluse was game breaking, right? Like it was great. And Funnel Web's great now, volatile rounds, all that jazz. Yeah, but Recluse in this sandbox today would be insane. I'm saying that to say this new scout rifle from Trials could potentially be that good, right?
Yeah.
It's again, he mentioned it. It's void. Triple tap 4 times the charm. You know, with access to the major boss spec, the big boss spec or whatever as
major spec.
Well, as an adept trait or an adept.
Right. So you get major spec and you get boss spec together.
Yeah. Or big boss, whatever it's called. But you know, and another big one, Summoner. Summoner's great. Overflow, Rampage. You know, like
on an auto rifle that already has 42 rounds in a magazine.
It's
great. A standard thing.
It's great. And I would love to be able to take these guys through and help them to get these items that they can use, not even in PvP. You know, that's not why Sam wants these. He doesn't want these because he's going to use them in Trials next weekend. You know, he wants them because, you know, might be a viable option to use in PvE. And for what it's worth, Sam can get on and get anything else he wants to. Anything that requires PvE, he can get on and get it. But whenever there's people like this stomping around and bullying, you know, other teams, it makes it hard. And so I'm glad to see, and this is where we'll kind of get into it now, that they're actually kind of taking some action here. As noted in our account restrictions and banning policies article in terms of service found here, it is referenced that players agree to not allow access to their Destiny 2 accounts to anyone outside of their umbrella of ownership. Account boosting also falls under this restriction scope, which is where players will relinquish their accounts to boost their light levels and earn certain high-level gear, which puts an unfair investment into one's character when paired up against players, those playing the game organically. Using these types of services can tarnish competitive activities like Trials of Osiris and even reduce the value of rewards from activities like raids and GMs. To protect the integrity of these experiences, we are issuing the appropriate reprimands to a number of accounts in accordance with our policy. Our security team had this to say about our policies regarding account sharing and other in-game behaviors that can jeopardize account integrity. Product security team, in August 2021, Bungie adjusted its policy to clarify that account recovery, boosting, and players that benefit from these services were in violation of our TOS. Since then, we have been closely monitoring suspected activity and issued our first ban wave against identified violators. We want to assure the community that we will fairly enforce our policy on player conduct for even most skilled or well-known players. Destiny is an evolving experience and will continue to update our policies to make the game a more enjoyable and safe experience for all players. We will continue to update the community on the further evolution of these policies, but for now, you can read up on the current stance here.
Before we get into anything else,
yes,
I like this.
Yes.
And I think this is going to be it. They are changing game. We talked about this before. Next year, this game is not going to look the same. Things are always changing. Meta's changing. Subclasses are changing. Stories changing. There's a lot happening. I like that. On the other side of this coin, to add on to what you said before you read all that, yes, I can get on and get anything in the game. I can get a team together. I can run Nightfalls. I can run story missions. I can run the dungeons. I can run the raids. I can do all of that. Because some of that requires a team. Some of that requires personal skill against ads. Not all of that is super accessible. The big buzzword around going on right now is accessibility. I play a lot of Demon Souls. I play a lot of Elden Ring. All the Dark Souls games. I played them all. The big thing there is accessibility. I don't like that word, but I understand it. They're trying to say, like, oh, this is too difficult to do this. The Demon Souls... I'm sorry, the Souls series, and I'm encompassing Demon Souls, Elden Ring, and Bloodborne, and all the Souls games together under the Souls name. Those games are synonymous with difficulty because it changes how you're supposed to play. You can't just walk into it speed running like Crash Bandicoot. You can't just jump on the little platforms and spin around and you're done. You finish the game. It doesn't work that way. These games require patience and timing and understanding that you can't do that. I spent 45 minutes to an hour on the first boss at level 45 because I was just drinking in how I'm supposed to be playing the game. The first boss does so much. Anyway, all that stuff aside, the accessibility of Trials is this. It is really cool to come in sporting the latest Osiris fashion. It's super cool to roll in with adapt weapons, specifically from Trials, because a large portion of the player base cannot get these weapons. Before all the changes they implemented, you were either a PvP god or the cream of the crop to get in there.
Mm-hmm.
To win a few rounds even just to get the stuff. And then on top of that, to even get adapt was even harder. Unless you went over to Xbox. Legend. With all the changes they've made it much easier, more accessible for players like myself who don't get a lot of time, who can solo queue now, who can get those 3 wins, kind of complete that bar, get a few cool items, and call it quits. It's a taste.
Yeah.
It's a taste and to a want to get better. They're making it more accessible. Is it completely? No, because it requires skill. PvP is a perishable skill. It goes away if you don't practice. Shooting a gun is a perishable skill. It requires practice. If you are not playing PvP on a somewhat regular basis, you are not going to excel at Trials of Osiris. You can't go play Call of Duty and then turn around and come play Trials. It's not the same thing. All that being said, I get it. It's really cool, and you want to have that. So throw a couple bucks somebody's way, and yeah, we'll get you the gun, we'll get you the armor. Okay, yeah, you're gonna tarnish that experience for you, not only for yourself but for other players, because more and more of that loot pool is gonna be getting it. Well, it's like, oh, I'm only in this game to get the cool stuff that no one else can get. Well, everyone else can get it now. There's a reason why I hang on to certain emotes in the game, because no one else has them. A little Kalos like lounge chair you have with a swirling cup. You can't get that anymore. There is no way to get that in the game. I have it. The blacksmith title that I carry. The platinum sterling ship that I have. Can't get this in the game anymore. I have it. It's a flex. Why else do anything in this game? The end game is about flexing. Why do you think the raid race is so popular? Getting that banner? Now, it's about flexing.
Now, hold on. The end game is clearly fashion. All right?
No, absolutely. 100%. That's why I love the transmog system. But even then, that's a flex. If you just started playing the game, you do not own any of the good good armor from the previous seasons.
Ornaments, yeah. Shaders.
Yeah.
Oof.
It truly is. End game is fashion and flex on them. That's what it is. So, to get that kind of stuff, yeah, I see that side of the coin, but no. Bungie is doing the right thing here. They're fixing the problems. It makes it easier for someone like myself to jump in there. I get it, though. The PvP players out there, they're like, people are getting in my loot pool. They're getting in my side of the deep end of the swimming pool. I understand. I get it.
Yeah.
Sorry that I'm got my little water wings and I'm trying to swim out to the deep end, boys. I want the cool gun.
I think that this is, if I'm being serious about how I feel about what they're doing, I think it is more of a kind of like last time. I think they realized they said something about it and it got people scared for a while, and I kind of feel like maybe that's what's going on right now, because they've issued huge sweeping waves of bans before. And the thing about this is, I don't recall hearing anything about anybody getting banned for any reason that I think I would have noticed. Because I'm saying that because they mentioned it in the TWAB, that they issued their first wave. Right. I didn't hear anything about it, so not to say that they're lying about it clearly, but I just wonder if they are trying to maybe scare some people into not doing it anymore for now.
Bungie has they picked up their shotgun and they've cocked it.
Yes, it's loaded.
Settle down, kids.
Right? They haven't pointed it at you yet. Just make sure, for the love of the traveler, don't do it.
The sound, you've pissed your pants already.
It's the old Kermit the Frog. It's back the way you came. But sorry.
Nice.
But but yeah, I think it's a bit of a scare for now, and I think that I hope that maybe there's a way that somebody is listening to me and here's what I say about, potentially doing like a day-long account ban. So whenever you log in.
Yeah.
Something.
Because even if it's just a scare tactic, even if it is just like, hey, yeah, no, you don't get to lock them out of trials for a weekend. You log in, it's the weekend, you can't do trials because you have been banned for this reason. You're locked out of trials. Maybe let them play the game, but you're locked out of that specific activity because of what you've done.
Yeah.
The person who recovered your account and the person who paid you, both people get locked out.
I think that's a little bit more difficult to do, but
yeah, I mean,
I hear you.
If you can catch them, then I would go for that.
If you could,
you're guilty on both sides. If you're paying someone to recover your account, to get you those items, you are paying for a service willingly knowing and violating the terms of service.
It is, yeah.
You accepting that payment is just as guilty.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
100%.
And well, I feel like there's less of a threat on the receiving side. Like you receive the payment, it's someone else's account, so if they get banned, what's the problem?
Yeah.
IP address, man. They can track an IP address.
By the way, Lucky, we're looking at you.
Right. Shut up, Lucky.
Moving
person.
On. Player support report. Winter is over. Another week, not for some of us. Another week, another report from the ever diligent player support team. This is the team that works tirelessly to track down all reported issues from players, no matter the size of the issue. They don't have capes, but maybe they should. While we look into cape sizing, the team's latest report centers around roles, destination materials, devourer, timers, and more. Raid emblem update. We have hit our snag. We have hit a snag in our process to some players who completed the VOD raid during the 48-hour contest mode. We hope to have a resolution soon, and we'll notify players once the emblem is distributed. Okay.
I don't want to talk about it.
You don't want to talk about it. You're not getting no emblem anyways.
Shut up, Legend. I'm so close.
Hotfix 4.0.0.5 coming Tuesday, March 29th. At reset time, just be aware of that. Ps4 Hdr update. Earlier in the season, we asked PS4 players to turn off HDR to prevent crashing on their systems. We believe that this issue has been resolved as of 4.0.0.4. If players continue to have issues, please report it at the help forum. Then they have some known issues. Then they go over the clarifications for there were a couple pretty prominent YouTubers. I know Bife. My name is Bife, and ASTRO both had YouTube issues this week where they their channels got strikes. A couple strikes. I know Cross was pretty scared because he got 2 strikes in the matter of a day, and a 3rd strike means you're done. And a lot of times, if you get those 3 strikes, even if they resolve the issue, you're still locked out for a little while until they can verify some things. So. Definitely scary. I guess they found that there was an issue with the OST, the soundtrack for the Witch Queen. So I guess there was some music.
And then
issues
there was also there was fake accounts posing as Bungie employees that were handing out bans on Bungie's behalf.
Yeah.
Unknowingly and doing it, and so they're tracking those people down.
Right.
In addition to all that stuff, but then they have a nice fix in there about how they're going to be handling music moving forward. Like there's some music in the game that's not currently there. If you want to post that kind of stuff on your channel, it can't be monetized. You have to ask for permission. But we're going to get all of the OSTs from all of the Bungie stuff that's not currently available on Bungie's own channel right now, which I think is
it's
nice.
Good. It's good. It's nice of them. But yeah, that pretty much covers TWAB. Again, very light this week. The plethora of it going over that, the boosting and the recoveries and stuff. So, good on them. Good on them for getting all that stuff situated. I kind of want to talk about in-game content for a couple of minutes because we do have that coming out, and I'm super stoked. I know you're super stoked. That's something that we look forward to, especially our 3-man squad that we have. So. Earlier, I was kind of talking about the renewal grasps and what we, have to look forward to there, because I really think that that's going to help out our GM experience, for one, because it's just such a cool thing that they did with these grenades. They made a grenade that is good for first off, it's a grenade, right? Like it's a grenade, but you throw it and the enemies that are trapped in it, they have a debuff. And then if you're inside of it, you get a huge resilience buff. And if myself being on the stasis, having Whisper of Chains attached to that, if I throw that nade on me, I also get a resilience buff from that crystal that it makes. It's just so good. And I'm super looking forward to that and what we have looking forward to. But that kind of suggests that I know I'm running stasis for end game content, which is
at least for the rest of this season.
At least for the rest of the season, and I don't mind these things. They look sick, dude. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. All of these exotics look pretty darned good. All of them, even the ones on the Warlock. You know, I know Warlocks get gypped a lot of times, but the
Devour
boots,
on all classes is so nice.
I know.
Oh my gosh,
it's so good. And while I'm not a super huge fan of the Blight Ranger, the helmet.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of what it can do. It seems kind of gimmicky, but it looks sick. You know, the that Titan helmet that got rebuffed, it looks really good. Like freaking flaming Thor. You know, like
I feel like they're trying to spread out like. Warlock has always been the support class because anytime you run into endgame content, it's like, oh, Warlocks run well. Warlocks have some amazing add, clear, and DPS options. Titans are more resilient. They have the bubbles, they have the defense stuff, and then once their Code of the Missile got buffed, they were burst DPS. Hunters had burst DPS as well and add clear. So there was roles to be filled.
Yeah.
But anytime you rolled into endgame content, if you had a Warlock and they weren't running well, particularly our clan leader is like, oh, no one runs it anymore, and I'm upset by it. Like, okay, well, be the change you want to see. But no, that's not how it works. You do it for him, it's fine. But yeah, but there are other options now. With everyone having Devour, there's less of a need for a Warlock to run a well and to dedicate an entire subclass to it. Where if your other two teammates can also pick up their own slack, run one more aspect, they can be healing as well. Right. Sure, it's not as effective, but you're keeping everyone alive and doing maximum DPS. A little bit of a glass cannon build. Is it way safer to run well? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Run bubble, run well. It's a safe bet that you're going to finish because you can keep the team alive.
For sure.
Totally understand. But for more balanced teams that understand each other, like how you and I do with Blood, if we can make this work, there's no need for me to run well because the three of us can keep ourselves alive. We don't need me to run something that we can fall back on as a passive, or we can all just push and make that work, make the runs more optimized, get that damage in. We can finish out before needing to fall back. So that's kind of where this meta gets shaken up a little bit. And yeah, I like that the helmet for the Titan does the sunspots and you heal when you stand in it.
Yeah.
I really hope, here's what I'm hoping that when Solar gets the rework, that the other classes can also get a healing grenade.
Or sunspots or something like that.
Just something. So that way, like, the pressure isn't only on the Warlocks to have a support. Maybe you really just genuinely love playing a Hunter, but you want to do support roles. Maybe you get a smoke grenade that gives you regeneration.
What if self-res comes back?
It'll be broken. I don't think it's coming back.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Probably not. I do want to say, with all these awesome exotics that we have now, as we've always had, exotics are great. But we have, like, for example, Hunters have Machineer's Trick Sleeves, and we have the freaking hand cannon pants. Lucky pants.
Yes.
Yeah. And Titans have the SMG pants, and then they have the Action Roar Rig to keep your auto and LMGs reloaded. I'm going to embrace my Warlocks and say, I want to see a pulse rifle or something, or SMG, something, not SMG, maybe not SMG. Let me see, what's another good one? At the very least, pulse rifle something for my brothers in the skirts, something.
Transversive steps.
What about them?
Does basically what the other pieces of armor do. They all used to just reload them. Yes, now they give benefits to doing more damage, but that's battle harmony.
Oh, battle harmony's great.
Yeah, it kind of locks you up for certain things, but yeah, we have battle harmony, and we have. I would like to see something like that, but warlocks have more elemental exotics.
Right.
We have
ability
what is
exotics.
It? Yeah, we have I forget what is it? It's something of thorns. It's the helmet that whenever you throw a grenade.
Crown of Tempest. Wait, oh no, not thorns.
Hang on.
You said thorns, not.
Hang on, I'm actually gonna pull this up because Warlock main and I'm forgetting what my exotics are. It is Apothecary Veil. Apothis Veil?
Yeah.
No, not that one. It's Verity's Brow.
Verity's
the final weapon
Brow.
blow of a damage matching your subclass grants Death Thrones. This provides grenade damage boost and grants your grenade energies when you have death throws. And whenever you throw a grenade, your allies greatly gain increased grenade regeneration for a short time. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
No other class has that. We have that. We have battle harmony, and we have the new one that gives us Devour, and we have transversive steps. Well, yes, we do not have we don't have an exotic that specifically buffs one weapon like the other classes do. We do have stuff that buffs element weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Battle harmony, takedowns with weapons that match your subclass, grants super energy. And when your super energy becomes full, you instead gain temporary boost to weapon damage of the type matching your subclass element. That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't like about that is I don't sit on my super.
Mm-hmm.
If I have it, I see a group of ads, I use it.
Yeah, not this Iron Banner, because I didn't make Iron Banner with my Titan and Warlock this past week whenever they had it. But the last Iron Banner that we had before the Witch Queen, and I was playing my Warlock, I really fell in love with Mantle of Battle Harmony in PvP, because I don't really like using Dawnblade in PvP. Like, it just seems like it's so easy to get sniped out of, for one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And while it's okay, like, I have decent Warlock movement, don't get me wrong, but it's still not as effective as it could be. So Mantle for somebody like me, using at the time the BR, the battle rifle from the Halo battle rifle, you know, Solar, or Polaris Lance, my favorite all-time scout rifle, you know, like, using either of those, man, you are talking about some crazy TTKs with a scout rifle, you know, that you can do.
Any amount that helps you trade is great, because you have something that your opponent doesn't have. That little extra edge in the battlefield makes the difference, which is why we look for god rolls and weapons, and for better stat rolls and armor. Everything helps in the end, and having something like this, where basically it turns whatever weapon you're using into Talok from Destiny 1, which wasn't a phenomenal weapon, but it required you to sit on your super. That wasn't a problem, because most times, if you were playing Warlock, you always ran self-res. There was never a reason why not to run it. It was too good. There was so many raid cheeses. Oh my gosh. You could, in Crota's, and we used to do this all the time, you'd wipe the party. You'd wait for the countdown. You'd self-res. The ads would completely despawn. You res everybody, the encounter's over. Yeah, that's how you cross the bridge in phase 2. So easy. Super easy. Barely an inconvenience. It was so busted. Which is why it's never coming back.
I don't know, man. I feel like there might be like an aspect, like, you have your typical supers or whatever, you can use them anytime you want, or if you're using this aspect, I would say it'd have to be cost effective, right? Like, eat your super, eat all of your stuff. If all your stuff is charged, imagine if your grenade, your melee, your ability, and your super are all charged, and it eats all those
Mm-hmm.
for a res that you yeah oh yeah it
I'm
sounds...
gonna say no, and here's what I'm gonna say: you don't get a grenade, you don't get a melee, you don't get a rift.
Oh, it eats those. Okay, so you don't get those at all
You don't have them. Period.
to use this aspect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your super bar fills. Great. You have a self res that only can be activated when you die. That's it. You don't get the option. You don't have the luxury of anything else. And the reason why you can't have that stuff is because guess what? There are exotics that like Battle Harmony that would proc from this. No, you don't get that. The bar is completely gone, and the only time you would get to see something is when you die. It's there. You can use it, and you can use it once per encounter.
I'm clearly trolling you right now. Like, this is great, but
King's Fall, King's Fall, King's Fall. Yes, blood. Yes, I agree.
it'll be back.
But it's no. I don't ever think self res is coming back without major penalties. It was too good. It was too good, too broken. They even added a chess piece into the game that protected you from being murdered, because it used to be in PvP, if you killed a warlock, chances are they were coming back to kill you. So what they did was they would just stand there and they'd wait with a gun on your body. It's like, all right, we're gonna farm it. If you rezzed, you were dead. Most times you just took the death. It's like, okay, good, they stayed dead, and then you move on. They made an entire chess piece that whenever you did res, you blinded everything around you. Did not work, because the guy with the shotgun who was like, yeah, go ahead, get back up. Oh no, I can't see anymore. Bang, you're still dead. So it gave you an overshield. Yeah, they gave you an overshield, and they gave you the ability to blind opponents around you. Didn't matter. You're standing that close with a shotgun.
You see, right now you're just telling me how self res is not that great. That's all I'm hearing. But
I was the warlock main. It wasn't. It worked for raids. It worked for strikes. It worked when you played by yourself. That's it. I understand.
I'm gonna say self res ain't gonna help you much if you still ain't got any res tokens.
Exactly. They're never bringing it back. I wish they. Nostalgia for D1 is great. The armor looked amazing. The guns felt good. We're in Destiny 2 now. It's time to let those go. Glow better come back, or I'm coming for you.
Let it go, Justin. Let it go. Let it go, Ledge.
But that all being said, it's not coming back. Yeah. I would like to see like maybe some throwback stuff sometime, but
with everything that they've done with Void, man, I think they killed it.
I'm excited for Arc and Solar.
Yes, same. I'm so excited because, like, first off, one of the things that I wanted, prior to Void 3.0 coming out, was for everybody to be able to have suppressor nades. Like I felt like Titans can legit like throw anybody out of their super anytime they want, so long as they have a grenade charged, right? But like, for a hunter to do it, he's got to pop his super to do that, and half the time you still get killed, and warlocks just can't.
Yeah, no,
warlocks just can't. So they brought suppressors. So and that's just one example. Axion bolts too. I love running Axion bolts on my hunter now. Everything feels great. They really killed it. And I know we're like a month and a half in at this point, but I'm still so surprised with how they did it. And Arc is going to be crazy. Solar is going to be crazy. Sunspots are going to be a big part of Solar coming back. Arc is going to be a fun one. What is that? The thing that happens with warlocks whenever they get a kill on the middle tree. It's like the little guy comes back to you.
You get a pulse of lightning that comes back, and when you collect it, it gives you energy back to your different stats.
Least charged ability or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bloodbane says, I'm not letting it go until they bring back Twilight Garrison. No, they gave it to the Dawnblades.
Oh, the dodging?
Yeah. Watch. Here's what they're gonna do. When they revamp Solar, that's when they bring like Twilight Garrison.
There you go.
Because that's when they'll reintroduce King's Fall. And that was the exotic that came out during King's Fall.
There you go.
There's already a Sunspot build with the Loreley Splendor.
Oh yeah, Loreley Splendor's great, and I'm glad they fixed it. But
what is that? Is that the helmet?
Yeah, Titan helmet. Well, we're an hour and 10 in. Do you got anything else?
Not really.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Same.
Gonna play more Elden Ring. I've been super addicted to that recently. Looking forward to when the end game content comes out. Master mode raids are coming up soon. Nightfalls. Looking forward to all of that. Yeah, so far they've been on top of the stuff this season. They've been really transparent with the community, which I'd like to see. Looking forward to seeing what happens next season. Eventually, we will have an episode where we don't talk about anything aside from just story stuff, because this story has been really good.
Really good.
I think they just closed like this week or last week was, I think it was last week. Last week was the final. Oh no, they had one more radio message. Was this week, for the season story. The season story is over now. Wow, season story was wicked. If you haven't played it, play it for yourself.
Play it. It's
maybe closer to the end of the season. We talk about
it's sad.
all things story stuff, and get in from that. But I like where the story's headed. I like they are really shaping the world up a lot. It's gonna be sick. I'm excited to see what they're gonna do for next season.
Yeah.
I feel like this season was about Cabal. I want to see next season be about the Elixir, and kind of just put all of our dominoes in a row for Lightfall. Because we've made some big choices. No, we did not make big choices. Someone else made it for us. Someone else who's going to get another round of Ace of Spades to the face. But,
Boy, I'm sensing some pent-up aggression there.
Have you not finished the story?
Yes.
So someone's going to get an Ace of Spades to the face.
Yes.
Full magazine.
Full magazine. Oof.
With Firefly, dang it.
With Firefly procced. Oh, well.
Anyways.
Guys, it's been a great episode. Thank you for tuning in. We will be back here next week. Let me see. Before we do that, I know we kind of do like our anime and stuff, recommendations, movie recommendations, stuff like that. I did watch the first episode of the Halo series.
And?
It looks phenomenal.
Okay.
And
that's all?
And it looks phenomenal.
Okay. Good to know. I'm not paying for Paramount Plus, so that's as close as I'm getting.
Oh, you're smarter than I am. You got anything?
Okay. Not gonna say anything else to that. The tomorrow is when my chapter of One Piece comes out, and pretty sure Luffy has some awakened devil fruit powers. I'm reading. Because I support the official release, and I read from the main site. I don't go to pirated sites that get it a couple days early, so I stay away from spoilers.
Okay,
I'll be reading it tomorrow. Very excited.
Spoiler alert: he is allergic to the fruit.
No, he's not. No, he's not. Shut up.
Guys,
had it for years.
This has been an episode of the Speaker Podcast. Thanks for checking it out, guys.